Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. There's always some kind of major storyline going on when it comes to boxing, man. So let's just jump right into it. Jai Opetaia, the big Osmoan. Yo, I got great news today, man. He's suing the IBF, which he should. IBF came and stripped this man of his title, man. That political bullshit, ruining this man's damn career, putting unnecessary stress on him and his family. But that being said, he's pursuing legal action over them stripping his title. And I just think with this, it just highlights a broader debate in boxing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fighters believe sanctioning rules should protect champions while ensuring mandatory challengers receive opportunities. They came and stripped his title just because of the political bullcrap between Turkey, Zuffa, and the sanctioning bodies. But the sanctioning bodies, they're going to come out here and say, look, man, we got to enforce our rules and we got to be consistent. And, we also feel like no one should disrespect us. So, hey, if we got to make an example of somebody, we're going to do that. And that's all fine and dandy, but, be ready to deal with the consequences because that's foul what they did to Jai Opetaia. And you can look and see that it's, I think, it's, what's they call it? It's corruption. You know what I'm saying? What's going on right now with the sanctioning bodies? Take a look at how David Benavidez is getting the hookup with all these title opportunities at cruiserweight. I'm not saying now. Look, I'm not taking nothing from David Benavidez as a fighter. We all know David Benavidez is the truth, but we also can, know when to throw the bullshit flag. It's bullshit what they're doing by just trying to set him up to become undisputed at cruiserweight. And then maybe he fights Jai Opetaia down the road because Jai Opetaia does have the ring belt. But I just think it's bullshit. So if litigation moves forward, the outcome, I don't know, it could influence future disputes between champions and governing organizations when they feel they're being done wrong, especially when there's no real true justification for stripping them of a title. But anyway, interesting to see how that develops. I hope the damn sanctioning bodies just sit there and say, look, Turkey Al-Sheikh, give me a little bit of that Wu-Tang cream, cha-ching, ching, dollar bill, y'all. And let everybody stop taking it to the stupid, and we'll give Jai Opetaia his belt back. That's what I think it is. I just think it boils down to money. And the sanctioning body just wants some money. But hey, they said there was going to be a lawsuit. I reported that months ago, and now you see, here we go. So it's up and away right now. Now, two fighters who are up and away this weekend, boy. And I'm telling y'all, it is a 50-50 fight. Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu. The fight doesn't get any closer than, when you talk about competitive energy, it doesn't get any closer than Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, man. This is going to be one of the year's toughest fights for both of these guys, and maybe one of the most exciting fights. Both of these guys have built reputations for resilience, for determination, for going balls to the wall and having that, by any means necessary mentality. But I'm telling you this right now. I've been saying it. Other boxing experts and pundits are saying the same thing. They just say it a little differently. But this fight could come down to who suffers more. Who's willing to suffer more? Elite fights are usually decided by a combination of things. The skill, conditioning, mental composure, being able to perform under pressure, sticking to the game plan, recognizing when you're hurt, if you got to clinch, if you got to take a knee, whatever you need to do to regain your composure. And then you get back into the fight, man, and just show that it's not just about showing your mental toughness, but it's to show that you have some part of having ring IQ is knowing, when you may need to take a knee, when you may need to clinch, when you may need to slow the fight down, when you may need to get on your bicycle. So with Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, I really want to see what's going to happen when a hard punch is landed. I want to see how they respond. And I'm telling you, they're going to get hit. But I just really think it's going to come down who's willing to suffer more. Because, it's not meant for the human body to take damage and punishment. You know what I'm saying? Nobody out here wakes up in the morning excited about getting punched in the goddamn mouth. So we're going to see this weekend how it all plays out. But that's kind of how I got it as a 50-50, man. I do. I think it's a 50-50 fight. If you say, yo, man, make a prediction. If somebody's going to cut your balls off, Hood Champion, and you're forced to make a prediction, make one. I don't know, man. I'd probably just be nutless running around here, because I can't make a prediction on that because I don't know what you're gonna get. Tim Tszyu has a new trainer, and is that a good or bad thing? Errol Spence has a new trainer, Ronnie Shields. Is that a good or bad thing? They both have, been through some tough fights. One's coming off of inactivity. I mean, I really don't know. I really don't know. So I guess I'll be running around here without balls and shit this weekend. So, but at least I got my hands and shit. Anyway, Canelo Alvarez on sanctioning bodies, man. Canelo. I like Canelo. And let me just throw this out there for the Mexican fans. Viva Mexico Camarones. With the Mexican horns blowing. Yo, Canelo, I expect him to speak in support of the sanctioning bodies. You know what I'm saying? He said the sanctioning bodies deserve compensation. They're organizing the championship fights. They're making the rankings. They're sanctioning title fights. They have operating costs, represent part of boxing's history. If his son was to fight, he would want his son to fight for titles. So he has no problem paying them. But others are going to argue that sanctioning fees have become too expensive and contribute to unnecessary complications. And like Zuffa Boxing was trying to do, they need to get rid of all these boxing belts because basically these organizations are just robbing fighters of money because they don't do anything. But then at the same time, we're talking about Canelo, and Canelo has had a lot of flexibility when it comes to these sanctioning bodies, what he can and can't do, and the things he was able to get away with. But again, it comes down to him being willing to pay these guys, and these guys know they're gonna make big money off Canelo. So why would they come and complicate things with Canelo, man? All of a sudden they're supposed to have integrity. But anyway, this remains one of boxing's longest running debates. And I don't think you're going to stop anytime soon. But I ain't going to lie. I do kind of like having the sanctioning bodies around. But I do wonder about them taking percentages of these fighters' purses, man. If they're really doing something with the money and they can prove that, all good. But if you can't prove that, come on now. That's just like back in the day. And these people doing all these damn having all these advertisements saying, hey, send money. The kids need you. And you kind of, tap into people, man, and they start to get a bit emotional and they want to help children out. Then you find out maybe 5-10% of the money you're saying go to the kids. The other 90% go in their pockets and shit. So, yeah, just prove what you're doing with the money, and I think we can all be up in a way. Now, talk about somebody who's up in a way and probably just needs to go away. It's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury just need to retire, man. He fighting this guy, Marius Wach. Fury weighed in at 265, Wach's at 291. It's a big size difference, but look, man, at the end of the day, Tyson Fury clips this dude. Too much experience, too much movement, too much IQ, ability to control distance, and plus he knows Wach already. He already put the bing-bings on him in sparring. It's a joke of a fight. They're just going to go in there, go through the motions as Tyson Fury gets ready to fight Anthony Joshua later this year. So anybody who's looking at the weight and saying, oh, that's going to determine the outcome in heavyweight boxing, well, to that I say, in the most respectful way, to you, Mick Nicholas, hold your horse and stop taking it to the stupid. That don't have a damn thing to do with no damn heavyweight boxing. Now, one thing I will say is Tyson Fury, he doesn't want, same way I don't want to hear that bullshit about weight in heavyweight boxing, he doesn't want to hear anyone comparing him to any of these newer heavyweight champions. He's like Caballero, this guy Garcia, Wardley, Dubois. Yeah, they all right, but I earned my titles. They had that shit gifted to him. So he's expressing his frustration with the comparison between him and these guys. His perspective appears to be that his accomplishments came through, getting in there and fighting. And it's true. He got in some tough ass fights, boy, and especially I like the fact that he came out and said those fights with Wilder took a lot out of him. So he came out and he gave Wilder his credit by saying, he made those fights difficult. And I like to hear when these fighters sit all the emotion aside and just give credit to other fighters for putting up a really good battle. You know what I'm saying? But whether fans agree or disagree, it just reflects how fighters often value the path they took to championships as much as the titles themselves. And I don't agree with a lot of things Tyson Fury says, but I do agree with that don't sit there and put those guys in the same categories like him or Wilder and AJ, because those guys got in there and did the business to earn their shit. I'm not taking nothing from those other fighters. They can scrap, but if you had somebody give your ass a belt and you haven't fought to earn one, you really should shut up. Now, women's boxing, there's a lot going on, man. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet. But they're getting visibility, man. Major events, man. You got Michaela Mayer against Cameron fighting, Caroline DeBoer against Summerlin Moore. And they're about to actually have a press conference on that. But these cards just show increasing investment and fan interest across multiple divisions and just women's boxing as a whole. There's a lot of attention on women's boxing. It's not necessarily good attention because we all know about a certain person out there who is doing goddamn diss records and everything else. But Clarissa has brought a lot of attention to women's boxing, and these women need to hit grand slams, but they need to make sure not to go down that destructive path that Clarissa Shields is going on. But she got the spotlight on them, so they might as well do something big with it. But the one thing I think they all should do is just remain professional. But anyway, Mayor Cameron, Caroline DeBoer, Summerlin Moore, they got the press conference coming up. And it's going to be interesting to see because Michaela Mayer can scrap. And so can Cameron, and DeBoer can fight. I don't know much about Moore. But but I was going to say Clarissa stays at 160, but I don't even think she's going to make 160. And she just said she's going back to 175. So as far as Clarissa fighting Michaela Mayer, Chantel Cameron, the winner, she ain't fighting none of them. Clarissa going to fight a baddie. But enough about that. I'll talk about that shit more during the lives. Conor Benn in this weight cut. Let me tell you something, man. I don't know why this man, his team is allowing this man to come down to 147 to fight Ryan Garcia at 147. I'm looking at Conor Benn. He looked overtrained already. He looked like he's dying. You know, he already got a big-ass head. I'm like, and he got that blonde dye in the shit. I'm like, what the hell is this man doing, man? Now, don't get me wrong. Now, you know, appearance alone doesn't establish overtraining, but he looked like he's dying. So I think the energy levels of recovery and performance in camp are going to be will be much more informative. But I'm just looking at him and I'm like, man, when we see him at the weigh-in, I think people are going to gasp, you know, because you're going to get a much clearer picture of what's going on with Conor Benn. He looks like he's in a fat boy camp. And he's not fat. It's because he's trying to come down to a weight for a moment in time to get on the scale to hit 147. And he's not going to be healthy, people. The man gonna be weight drained. I mean, he looks like he's dying already. In his last fight where he fought, was it Regis Prograis? You know, he looked like he was dying. At 147, he will die. And it'll be death by Ryan Garcia's goddamn left hook. Look, and I don't like Ryan more than Conor or Conor more than Ryan. I put them both in the same damn space. But I'm just being honest with you. Conor Benn looks like he is weight drained and in a fat boy camp. Why he chose to come down to 147, I have no idea. But I tell you what, boy, I really hope pad testing is there. But I'm going to keep talking about these two, man, especially that Conor Benn, because Ryan, he looked comfortable as hell. Conor does not. But he's working, and that's a good sign. And again, I'm just going to tell you, just me going off of the appearance alone doesn't mean that he's overtraining. I'm just looking at him, and you know, with my eye, man, I'm just telling you, I've seen people cut weight and be weight drained. I remember I used to cut down to 160, and I always felt good, but I mean, I'm 6 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? Conor Benn at 147. I remember one time, man, my coach, we had a fight. I fought at 160. Actually ended up, for that fight, the guy and I actually we like 160 and a half. He was like 162. Anyway, man, we ended up having a fight. And then the coach was like, yo, get you down to 147. And I looked at him like he was fucking crazy, man. Because I was like, 147? I already had veins all through my thighs and calves and all over my veins across my back and shit. So how the hell am I going to get down to 147? So I don't know. I just think it's all bad. You know what I mean? I hope they both come out of that fight, you know, safe. But I just think Ryan Garcia knocks him out. First 30 seconds, first shot he throws, boom. Conor Benn's chest to canvas, ass in the air like at a Diddy party. Now, Carlos Adames, he always talking. He's got power, he's got strength, he's got a ring presence, IQ. He can scrap. I like Carlos Adames, but he always talking. You know, we're more eager to see him compete than to hear this man keep talking on goddamn Twitter. Adames, get your ass in the ring and fight Mr. Caballo. Need some regular activity, you know what I'm saying? If you want to maintain momentum in competitive divisions like 160 to 168 or wherever the hell he's going to be fighting at, get in the ring. We don't want that regular activity on Twitter. That ain't going to help you maintain the momentum. Get your ass in the ring and put the bing bings on somebody. Now, Frank Martin, he's figured out a way to keep that momentum going. He's no longer signed to Errol Spence. Errol Spence's promotional company, he's with Top Rank. Multi-year deal with Top Rank, man, and could it open new opportunities? Maybe. You know, matchmaking, maybe. Television exposure for sure. Opponent availability, quite possible. But fans will be watching to see which fights are pursued next. Him at 135, you know, you just got to think they're going to put him in there with Kid Austin or somebody. So, with Golden Boy, Top Rank. Oh, yeah, the DAZN deal. Yeah, you think Frank Martin could ended up over there fighting on that damn Kid Austin. No, Kid Austin was supposed to be linked to Javante and them boys, but you just don't know, boy, if Frank Martin ends up with DAZN having all these different promotional companies underneath that umbrella, you just don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, real interesting what they're going to do with Frank Martin. But I just have a weird feeling, boy, that although Kid Austin's over there with Golden, but I have a weird feeling, man, Frank Martin and Kid Austin, that fight's going to get made and Kid Austin's going to tranquilize him. But anyway, what do I know? Well, fans will definitely be watching to see what fights are pursued next. Now, Ryan Garcia and De La Hoya, they might as well just goddamn go separate ways. He says that he wants De La Hoya, man, to show him more support. That ain't never going to happen. De La Hoya is all about himself, making money. He don't give a shit. You can tell De La Hoya don't give a goddamn about nothing but himself and doing these little wacky-ass goddamn videos, man. He doesn't care. But I tell you what, that promotional relationship, I don't think it's evolving. I think it is what it is, and they just need to cut ties and go separate ways. And I'll be honest, I think Ryan Garcia has the ability to secure major fights without Oscar De La Hoya. I think fights happen because of Ryan, not because of Oscar. He doesn't need Oscar. But anyway, they might as well just go ahead and goddamn divorce. Now, Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis. It looks like these two have enough sense to not let the fight go to purse bid, and they're going to negotiate the fight, which will be beneficial to both of them before the purse bid takes place. So this way they get to control the financial terms, avoid delays, and maintain flexibility in promotion. I am really excited about this fight, and hopefully they can get the deal done, like Donald Trump says and shit. Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, who you got winning that fight? Some people say Keyshawn's going to knock him out. I'm like, how? You got to catch up to him to knock him out. Devin Haney's going to move, box. Devin Haney's explosive, fast. He's smart. He's at 147 now. Devin Haney ain't no easy fight. Keyshawn Davis going right to 147. And y'all are just automatically picking Keyshawn over Devin? How? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Come on now. Y'all got to be realistic about this shit. Keyshawn Davis a good fighter? Yes. Does he bring the physicality to the fight? Yes. Has he fought at 147 before? No. Devin Haney has settled into that division. He's shown that he has power at 147. I think Devin Haney beats Keyshawn. How about that? I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. You know? So hopefully if the agreement's reached, the fans can see one of the most intriguing matchups in quite some time. But I think Devin beats him. I think he makes Keyshawn look dumb. And some people are going to say, I heard you don't know nothing about boxing. You've been talking too much about them women. You done forgot real boxing. Nah. I'm just being real with you. That's what I feel. Keyshawn Davis has never fought anybody like Devin. Devin's fought all kind of people, all kind of styles. Who's Keyshawn fought? Yeah, he's an Olympian, a silver medalist, but I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Okay? So I got Devin winning that fight fairly easy. You know, that's just how I see it. But we'll find out. Now, this thing about Clarissa Shields, Alicia Baumgartner, and Kaye Scott. Clarissa just buck wild, man. This shit she doing out here with this rapping and diss tracks and everything is totally out of control, man. But, you know, the discussions are centering on her comments towards Alicia as she prepares for Kay Scott, man. This public back and forth, talking about Alicia's, if you haven't heard a diss track, just go pull it up. I don't feel like playing that bullshit. But everyone is sitting here saying, yo, how is Clarissa getting ready for Kay Scott? With all these things going on that seems to be a distraction. And I agree. I think that's a fair question. But other than saying, yo, this ain't nothing but routine promotion, it shouldn't have any effect on her preparation. But when you look at Clarissa, she don't look like she's getting any smaller. I don't think she's going to make 160 personally. So she just seems to be focused on everything else. Maybe she just manages her time better than what we realize. So she can do the social media bullshit. She can do the diss records. She can do all these things. She says she trains 3 times a day. So, she says sometimes she may go train at 2 a.m. if her body feels like it. So maybe she has this kind of unstructured, chaotic kind of lifestyle that just happens to work for someone like her. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather was another one who he didn't have a traditional schedule when it come to training. Whenever he felt like it. So maybe she's just throwing that shit out there to make it sound like she's on Mayweather's level where she just trains when she feels like it and she doesn't have to have a traditional kind of, schedule when it comes to training. I don't know. But I tell you what, she don't seem to be really focused on 100% of preparation for Kay Scott. Now, conversely, there are other people, these online commenters who are saying Kay Scott, well, we can't be out here giving her all the credit either because she seems to be focused more on OnlyFans and showing her ass and skin and lingerie and out there trying to be a sex symbol. And I'm like, okay, well, interesting. I haven't looked at nothing on Kay Scott because there's not much to see. And if that's what she's doing, then maybe she's out here, man, and maybe she don't have the focus either. But I just can't see Kay Scott is coming in the ring and not trying. And for Clarissa Shields, I think she really is underestimating Kay Scott, and I think even Clarissa knows that she can just come in there and Kay Scott at 100%, Clarissa should be able to just blast her up out the ring. But there's so much shit going on with both of these women. It makes you wonder. This social media shit, what happened to the days of fighters going in camp? No TV, no nothing, just, straight training, eating food, resting, sleeping, repeating, what happened to those days of that shit? Everything is this social media, this cell phone, this internet. So I'll tell you what, man. Hold on. Excuse me. Start talking about goddamn Clarissa Shields and the goat virus hit me, man. But I just gotta wonder about Kay Scott and this shit she's doing outside of boxing, this OnlyFans thing, man. Is she really allowing that to take up a lot of her time to where she's not focused on her preparation the way she needs to be? I don't know, but I will say this. There's no reliable basis to conclude that outside work means that she's not fully preparing for a fight, even for Clarissa, but I'm just looking at Clarissa and it doesn't seem like she's fully focused. Kay Scott, I don't know. But I do know a lot of athletes successfully balance training with business ventures, and maybe these two have got that down to a science and we're just on the outside looking in and we don't know what we're seeing. I don't know. But I think ultimately focus and preparation are best judged by what happens in the ring rather than assumptions drawn from social media activity. So even maybe Hood Champion should hold his horses and not take it to the stupid. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm about to go to the gym in the breeze.